Have you priced gray marble lately? It's insane, but I'm gonna show you how to create the same look for a fraction of the cost. Stay tuned and enjoy the video. All right, so we're starting with a sample board that I have actually used before. What I did, I sanded, and then I just reapplied another coat of our white undercoating. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna create some undertones. This finish is gonna be about layering and layering and layering, and that's how we're gonna create depth and really make this finish pop. So I'm gonna start first of all with our metallic finish. This is chrome, yep, bright chrome. You could start with the gray, whatever color you wanna kind of be the bottom of your design. All right, like I said, this is the bright silver, so it's really gonna have a lot of metallic and it's gonna kind of pop. And I'm just gonna come randomly put these colors down. Some darker than others, some lighter than others. I'm not too worried. I'm gonna make sure I get those edges nice and well. I'm not worried about any kind of little dots. All of that I'm gonna embrace and bring it into my finish. Now, next, even though we're doing a light gray finish, I'm gonna come in here with black Montana marble spray. One of my favorite things to do, makes me feel like a kid again. If you'll notice, I'm gonna come really high. I'm not gonna go across. If I go across, it's gonna give me a real tight pattern and I don't want that. So I'm gonna come up nice and high and I'm just gonna kind of squeeze. And this is done completely to your liking. If you really want a lot of that undertone coming in, then you can add more. I'm not gonna do a lot. I think I'm gonna stop right there. I really like that. And we're gonna go to the next step. All right, so I'm gonna let this dry for about 20 minutes, go mix me up some epoxy, and we'll be right back. All right, so we've mixed up 3 ounces per square foot of the Stone Coat Countertop art coat. And the reason we're using the art coat is because of the high amounts of UV additives. So I've mixed, as you can see, I've mixed my cups. They're not all exactly equal. Don't ask me exactly how much I'm using because this is how I cook. I just eyeball everything. So our first cup is going to be just clear epoxy, and I added just a little bit of diamond dust. I like to have sparkles in my world. So I'm only adding a little bit. I don't want that diamond dust to take over my finish. Okay, so the second color we're gonna be using is titanium white. Titanium white is one of my favorite whites. If you don't have the titanium white by Just Resin, you can substitute it for our Alumilite white dye. I really like the titanium white because it's heavier, and you're gonna see later on what that heaviness of that material is going to create. All right, so our first cup of white is going to be very opaque. It is basically my whole milk cup, all right? Now I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna put it into my translucent white, and I'm gonna create skim milk. Any of you who have drank skim milk know exactly what I'm talking about. Can you see how you can see through to the grain? That's what I want. So now we've got 3 levels of opacity. We have our full opaque white, we have our translucent white, and then we have our clear. So just that alone is gonna give us some great depth. All right, so our next color is going to be also a white, but this is a pearl white. It's also by Just Resin, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Now, if you don't have this in your arsenal, then you could use our white mica powder. But let me tell you, you need to get this in your life because it is absolutely gorgeous. All right, and I did mix it fairly opaque. All right, love it. Okay, here comes the accent. I want you guys to look at this in the cup before I mix the resin. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? This is Just Resin aluminum. Now this aluminum does react a little bit different. It has a tendency to float in the epoxy and on the surface. So you get a really cool design with it. Beautiful. That's kind of going hand in hand with the spray paint that we pre-fogged on our board. All right, these are the colors we're gonna do. Let's get moving. All right, I have all the colors mixed in the board, and I left intentionally a little bit of the clear in my bucket that I mixed, and I'm gonna use it as basically my grease coat. All right, so I'm gonna kind of grease my board, and the reason I'm gonna do that is just gonna help all my colors flow really easily. All right, so I poured it out, heat it up just a little bit, then I'm gonna come in with my Bondo spreader, scrape my bucket, and then my skim coat is gonna be just that. It's gonna be very, very thin. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now, because I have the Montana marble spray on the surface, I don't wanna dig down and really drag. So I'm just very lightly putting it over the surface. I don't have to cover every single inch. It's okay. This is just gonna help everything kind of flow. Now you can, in your mixture, figure up 3 ounces per square foot for your finish, and then you can add to that maybe an ounce per square foot additional so that you make sure that you have plenty of material to do this. Heat it up one more time. Now let's start putting our colors. All right, we're gonna start off with our opaque white first. This is, again, remember, this is the titanium white. Now I'm gonna leave a little bit of this in the cup because I wanna do a few things at the end, you know, because we have to take it to the next level. So that was the white. Now let's come in with our pearl white. And everything is very random. Now this pearl white, you notice I didn't have a lot. I don't want that pearl to take over. I just want it to be kind of an afterthought. I want you to look at it and say, there's something a little pearlish in there, but I'm not sure what it is. All right, so then the next thing, our white. And this is the white that has the bling bling in it, the diamond dust. And I'm actually gonna save a little bit of this too. You never know when you need a little diamond dust. And this is our translucent white, kind of just starting to fill in voids here. Now guys, if you watch me a lot, you're gonna know I do this type of base of my marbles a lot, using white, translucent white, and clear. I use it a lot. All right, so by heating it up first, before I start to meld with my Bondo spreader, it's gonna help me really get those colors to meld nicely without me having to over mix them. Now that's the key. You don't want to over mix this surface. If we over mix, literally all we've done is made one color. Now by applying that skim coat, one thing that helps with is to move these colors on top so that we don't have distinct lines where we poured it out of the cup. It kind of helps that color not, I guess, maybe tint your base or stain your base. I guess that makes more sense. That is so pretty. So remember, we're building layers. You can't judge it yet. We're building upon this layer after layer. All right, so now you kind of step back, look at where you may have some surface tension. All right, looks good. I'm gonna come around to the front, make sure my edges are addressed. Take my hand, actually push that epoxy over the edge. By taking your hand and pushing that epoxy over and under that edge, you will help that epoxy to roll and you'll have beautiful edges. It won't look really wavy. All right, now you'll notice I'm not taping my edges. I'm using 3 ounces per square foot. There's no reason to tape those edges. If I were using 6 to 8, if I were doing a dirty pour or something like that, I would definitely want to tape. But at 3 ounces per square foot, if you tape your edges, you're gonna have some issues later when you pour that tape because you don't have enough product on the surface to push over the edge. All right, so here we go. We're gonna torch one more time. All right, let's start adding a little bit of detail. This is gonna definitely be something that you need to decide prior to doing your finish how dark you want it. Start off light. You can always add more of the aluminum. You can never take it away. All right, so I'm just gonna very lightly kind of add some of that in, making sure to go over that edge. Okay, again, we're gonna take the Bondo spreader and we're gonna start to meld it. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Nice and soft and subtle. Now I love the way that the Montana marble spray is peekabooing up through the surface, but in my head, and that's a scary place to be, y'all, I want more of the gray or the aluminum to be on this finish. I'm not going for a real white finish. I want a darker finish. But this right here is so pretty. But I'm gonna go for some more. So that's how I do it. I just add a little bit at a time so that I'm not disappointed when it gets too dark too quick and then I can't take it away. So I am going pretty aggressive here because I really do want this to be a darker color. Again, when you take your Bondo spreader, I want you guys to hold it with 2 hands or 2 fingers, okay? Don't grab a hold of it and start moving it because you're gonna move all your product off the substrate. So just take it like this and let the weight of the Bondo spreader be what guides you, all right? So we just do some cross hatching here. Oh yeah, now we're talking. I like it. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's exactly the darkness that I wanted. All right, and I can still, after everything that we've done, I can still see that very first layer of color that I did with my spray paint. I can see it peekabooing through. That's why I chose the spray paint that I chose, which is that bright silver or that bright chrome. That's why I chose that, because just that little bit of metallic is peekabooing through. Yes, I love it. All righty, now this could be a finish all on its own. I could walk away right now, but guess what? We're gonna go to the next level. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna add some veining, okay? I'm not a huge fan of veins in particular, but I do wanna add a little bit of interest. What you could do is this could actually be for all of your countertops in your kitchen. And then let's say you have an island. Now you wanna really take that island to the next level. That's what we're gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna come back in here with my gray and I'm gonna create some veining, all right? And I'm not gonna do a ton of it. I'm just kind of letting it crisscross a little bit, kind of overlap a little bit, however you wanna do that. All right, not a ton. Let's see, I'm gonna come kind of over here. All right, then I'm gonna have one bold one. So I'm gonna have this be a little bolder, a little darker. So it kind of draws my eye right there. Yeah, I like that. Okay. I don't want to over-exercise my eyeballs. So I don't want every single vein to be boom in your face. You want to have a place for your eye to rest. So when I look at this piece, my eye goes to this really big vein right here. That's what I want. Okay, so I got my Bondo spreader. And what I'm gonna do is I'm kind of chopping and twisting all at the same time. So I'm kind of dragging that out, okay? And then I'm just trying to take that vein and just soften it just a little bit. See this vein right here? I'm just gonna kind of follow it and just lightly meld it in. All right, I like that. So all I'm doing is just taking that real distinct vein and softening it out. Kind of turn it sideways ever so often. If you want to make that vein a little wider, you can do that as well. I'll come over here as well, kind of move it, all right? So it's really softening it all down. And we're gonna come back and get more detail. All right, I like that a lot. Now, we created some bubbles here just because we chopped them in. So I'm very lightly, very quickly gonna run that across there. I don't wanna put so much heat that I cause that vein to move. I don't wanna do that. One more time, and I'm gonna go back over the top of what I just chopped with a more distinct vein again. And I'm not gonna do it everywhere, just a few spots. So all this is doing is just kind of making it distinct again. Now I'm gonna come back over with our white. This is the white titanium, and I'm gonna run it. Now remember, this is a heavy pigment. and it's gonna start to sink down, which is what I want. Kind of coming over here. I'm just kind of going right over the top of those veins that I previously made. And you can even go rogue and just randomly put super tiny thin ones down as well. And now these are so thin because my epoxy has been sitting in these cups for, oh, I know, probably a good 30 minutes now. And it started to get a little bit thick. So my lines that I'm putting on are staying really tight and very super thin. I really like that. So I'm gonna heat it up just a little bit. You notice guys, when I heat, I don't stay in one spot. I really move around. Now, if you have the ability to tilt your project, this is where the titanium white is so cool. Because it is heavier, it's starting to sink. All right, because the titanium is a little heavier, as I tilt my piece, it kind of gives a color shift in the veins, almost like a shadowing of those veins. And that is one of my favorite things about the titanium white. It really causes a shadow. If you look here, where I originally put the vein down and then I tilted, it caused it to shift. And because the product has started to sink down into the epoxy, it gives you this really neat effect that it's like a natural fault line. It looks so much more natural. Now, if you have any little dots like this that you don't like, just kind of take them and work them out so that they just look a little more organic and real. All right, I love it. All right, so even though we tilted it and we got that shift, if you don't have the ability, if you're doing an on-site pour and you don't have the ability to shift, take your heat gun and ever so lightly, turn it on low, even a hairdryer will work, and very lightly push those veins a little bit. Now remember, our epoxy is still moving naturally on its own. So you're gonna get a little bit of that shifting on its own anyway. We just kind of helped it along. Don't panic. If you're doing an on-site pour, you still can get that shifting that we just got. Guys, this is so pretty. This looks so incredibly real, and I love the fact that I'm still seeing down through to the very first things that we did. That metallic paint, our Montana marble spray is still peekabooing up. It is gorgeous. I'm gonna hit just a couple of those spots. We could stop right here. Let me know, what would you do, guys? Would you stop here, or would you have stopped at the very first before we ever laid any of these veins down? Let me know in the comments below. We're gonna go one more step. This is, to me, what takes it over the top and brings this marble almost to a granite. So I'm gonna grab a can of white gloss Rust-Oleum spray paint and some mica powder mixed with alcohol, and we're gonna go from there. All right, so I have my Rust-Oleum white. Now, we are in a very large area with very good ventilation, and I'm on camera. But if you're not, wear a mask, protect your lungs, guys. Don't be doing a lot of spray paint without protecting yourself. I'm not worried about my epoxy. The epoxy that I use, Stone Coat Countertop, is 0 VOCs, 100% solid, no solvents. So I'm good to go without a respirator. But this, you need to protect yourself. Now, I don't want to put white spray paint over my entire surface. I want to spot hit it so that I can still see all my undercoating, okay? I still want to see that. These are just accents. Now, where I do put the white paint, some areas are gonna be very opaque. And that's cool because if there's an area on here I don't particularly like, I can cover up with my spray paint. Then I'm gonna have some areas be just a little bit of paint to give me kind of that fading look. So I'm gonna come in pretty heavy right there. I'm not real fond of that one area. Maybe right here kind of dark, and then kind of bring them together. I don't want it to look like polka dots on there. I want them to kind of have a flow about them. Big drops first. I'm putting the isopropyl alcohol in my hand. Big drops. This is the Italian drip. As Erica with Artist Till Death loves to tell me. All right, I've got the big drops. Now we're gonna come in with the little drops. I'm barely squeezing my trigger. Oh my goodness, I love that. Now I'm gonna come back with mica powder. This is silver mica powder mixed with 91% isopropyl alcohol at about 1/4 ounce to 6 to 8 ounces of your alcohol. I'm gonna adjust my sprayer so that it comes out not super fine, but medium-sized drips, and I'm barely gonna squeeze the trigger. And that's gonna come over the top. Now you don't have to do this. This is just gonna add a little bit of color. And you could actually do this prior to doing your spray paint to decide if you like it or not. If you don't wanna put your spray paint, you can still do this because this is just gonna bring a little bit of that metallic silver onto your surface. This is amazing. As my veining is starting to sink, it's just looking so soft and so realistic. This is a fabulous finish. I think I'm done. I think I'm actually gonna walk away. Let me know what you would do by leaving me some comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I hope that you try this and then show me by posting your pictures in our RK3 Design Epoxy Insiders group. You're all invited. We would love to have you. Go on Facebook, just type in RK3 Designs Epoxy Insiders. This group is growing by leaps and bounds. We have so much fun and we post lots of pictures. So please, if you do this finish, tag me. I want to see it. I want you to please subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell for future notifications. That way you will know every time we post a video or we go live. We go live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central. But most important, I want you guys to not be scared. Move forward and be creative. Love you. See you next week.